Camera?
Speeding.
Sound?
Ready?
Okay. Action.
It won't do, you know. What won't do? This feeble idea of making a movie about one of your favorite paintings. Why not? Because it's not an idea, it's the lack of an idea. What's wrong with making something about my obsession with a painting? You already did it with Eilau. It's better than this ripoff of Borges. Borges did not invent talking to himself. Maybe not. But with all those literary references, at least he made his reflexive twists interesting. The reflexive is a doodle for those with nothing to draw. Has anyone ever told you that your fondness for aphorism is intensely irritating? You're just jealous. Of what? Because people have compared me to Oscar Wilde. Ha! Maybe because you stole from Oscar Wilde in Naked Bastard.
While affairs are made in heaven, marriages come from elsewhere.
That was unconscious. That's a new word for it. It's just the way I talk. We're just not getting anywhere. Stoppard, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Jesus H. Christ. Besides, there's nowhere to get. You're out of ideas and you won't accept it. What if I brush off one of the old movie stories? You mean your idea of recycling the mind's depths? Something like that. An old, bad story dressed up with formal flourishes. It had its moments. Think of the camera moves. It's one of your worst titles. I'll come up with something better. How about hide and seek? What does that have to do with the mind's depths? You know, how the apparition appears, then disappears, then reappears, and then disappears, and it's never around for the psychiatrist to witness. But you've already used the title. When? For this one. Now who's being reflexive? We both are, of course, because we both are us. That is, you and I are me and you. Makes perfect sense. To a lunatic. Well, I didn't start this. Actually, yes, you did. You had the first line. My point, I think. A vacant victory. You know, your fondness for alliteration is only slightly less annoying than your fondness for aphorisms. Can I help it if I'm a stylist? You don't have to be so smug about it. I'm not smug. You just resent my better education. How can you be better educated when we're both the same person? It is the nature of the half-educated to mistake their ignorance for wisdom. Ugh. You have to admit, it's a good line. Look, you're not helping. If, as you say, I'm empty, then that makes two of us. You'd be better off using your verbal dexterity to come up with an idea for a script for me, or you, or us, or whatever. Whomever, I think. In any event, I think I have come up with something. Oh? But we'll have to leave it to the viewers to decide if it works. So, as we both know, which is to say, as you and I know, in The Other, the elderly Borges sits on a bench in Cambridge having a conversation with the younger Borges on a bench in Geneva. Why are you telling me this? If you've read the story, I've read the story. Yes, but most of our viewers probably haven't. So the question is, what is it about The Other that is more important? The reflexivity or the warping of space and time? That's it. That was the other idea. What is? The wrinkle in time. Remember? You came up with the idea, that is, we came up with the idea from that moment in The Man Who Fell to Earth when the limousine passes the homesteaders and they stare at each other. Oh yeah, right. What's the matter? Or should I ask, what's wrong with this one? I just wish I liked that movie more. What difference does that make? If I'm going to rip off something, I'd prefer it to be something I like. As if that ever stopped you before? Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Talent imitates, genius steals. And now you're talking in cliches. I'm temporarily out of aphorisms of my own. What was the idea again? A writer, rather like you or me or us or whatever, a writer writing an historical treatise on a Cotton Mather-like character suddenly believes he is seeing him in the flesh, and eventually he sees this prim Puritan commit a murder. Not a bad idea, after all. Now that you tell it, I see a Borges connection. Oh? The theme of the traitor and the hero, the writer writing about a local hero who turns out is a traitor who's arranged his own death. Yeah, you're right. Besides, Bertolucci already did it. Now, The Spider Stratagem is a movie I like. Except for the tango scene. What's wrong with the tango? He overused it. Spider, the conformist, Last Tango in Paris. Yeah, I see your point. We're digressing. Another sign of emptiness, perhaps. But at least we're playing the Borgesian reference game pretty well, too, if I do say so myself. Ourself. Yourself. Ourselves? Relax. Time to move on to Act 3. Now, where were we? Now that's an interesting construction. Come again. Present tense now, followed by past tense were. I never noticed that before. English is full of the most wonderful inanities. We were discussing... Yes, your wrinkle in time. It's above your average. But I'm not crazy about the crazed Puritan murderer. How about something more romantic? What did you have in mind? Oh, I don't know. Maybe the figure the writer sees is a beautiful woman. Yeah, I like that idea. We could tie it in with your obsession idea. The Phoenix. What? It's a retread of the Phoenix. I thought you didn't want to remake any old films. She wore black in the Phoenix, and this one she could wear a beautiful white dress. Maybe with a parasol. No, but... No, I see where this is heading. Where is that? You want to make another Belle Epoque costume film. No such thought entered my mind. To hell it didn't. When are you going to face the facts? Which ones? We have so many. Katharine Hepburn, Lion in Winter. You're no good at it. You don't have the resources. They're too expensive. The results are never as interesting as something you just throw together. We're not going to have another Visconti Losey-Opho's waltz, thank you very much. But I love Belle Epoque costume films. I love donuts, but they don't make for a steady diet. But repeat after me. I am not going to make another Belle Epoque costume film ever. I am not going to make another Belle Epoque costume film. This time. Where were we? I believe we were discussing the possibility of incorporating a literary figure, a novelist perhaps, or better yet, an historian conducting research into 17th century New England who believes he witnesses the subject of his research commit a crime, perhaps murder. This being based on the mind's depths, he no doubt consults with a friend or a psychiatrist or a friend who is a psychiatrist who conveniently is not around to witness these encounters or wrinkles in time. Things build to a suitable climax, but this being a reworking, not a remaking of the mind's depths, the ending can be changed so instead of the main character being committed to an institution, he can have a final confrontation with the Cotton Mather-like character and sacrifice himself heroically to save someone, which under the circumstances is actually pretty pointless because whoever he saves would be long gone now. Anyway, after he dies, the psychiatrist has no reason to believe that the historian died from anything other than fear until, that is, he opens the dead man's hand and sees a 17th century coin, thus tying the story to the other, which also used money to link two periods, while simultaneously providing the kind of closure that you, we, I are always criticized for failing to provide. Just like that speech. Just like that speech. It feels like one of those endless summing ups at the end of a detective movie. Who'll write the footnotes? At least it ties up all the loose ends. All we need now are actors.
Cut.
Good.
Good. I think it's a good one.